What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more live content for you guys. And obviously, as we all know, the transfer window is done and dusted, and it is that time to give our squad review. We're going to be comparing the squad from last year to this year, see how much stronger we are, and then we're going to be going through the different sort of variations that we think that Thomas Frank could be deploying as Tottenham manager. I know a lot of you are asking, where is this Champions League squad? Yes, we're asking the same thing because, you know, the deadline was supposed to be 11 p.m. last night and there's been no word of it. And I'm looking at the other Premier League teams who are also in the Champions League, and it seems as though at this moment in time, Man City are the only team that have publicly released the Champions League squad. So we're sitting here waiting just like you guys.
Yeah, and let's hope we get it as soon as possible. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be some big secret. I'm sure they'll release it at some point. It's just a bit frustrating. We're waiting to see the choices Frank has made because it's very interesting to see who he's going to leave out. So it's a bit annoying that at this current moment in time, for some reason, they haven't been released. But look, a bit of patience. I'm sure it'll come out soon at some point. Yeah.
So let's start off looking at the squad review. So this is where we were at last season in terms of goalkeepers. We had Antonin Kinski, we had Vicario, we had Fraser Forster, and we had Brandon Austin. Fast forward to this season, yeah, I mean, Brandon Austin is there, but he's not on the graphic. But Brandon Austin, Antonin Kinski, and Vicario. So, I mean, pretty much as we were, to be honest. I think Antonin Kinski, with a further year of development behind him, Fraser Forster, I mean, Vicario obviously was out for a significant part of last season, so I'm hoping obviously that doesn't happen this year. But yeah, goalkeepers not too much to comment on, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think there's been much change. Obviously, we were talking about potentially leaving Kinski out of the Champions League squad, but he was left out of the Europa League squad anyway. And it's great for Austin that he's now an option potentially. He came in last season. I guess everyone was wondering, is he ever going to play for Tottenham? He came in. It surprised a lot of people last season. So if Kinski is left out, at least we have someone who at least has had a few games now.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not too much to comment on the goalkeepers, and I think we can say we're happy with the goalkeepers moving forward, and I think the deputy is very good, and the deputy of the deputy, I think he showed last year he can come in and do a job, so I'm happy with all three choices. Into the centre-back, so this was our centre-back roster last season with Ben Davies, Kevin Danso, Couto Romero, Mickey van der Ven, and Radu Dragusin. Obviously, Radu did his ACL last season. Mickey had his injury problems last year. Romero had his issues last year. So it kind of was
Gray and Dragusin for a lot of it, and Gray and Davis even.
Exactly. So, I mean, Danso came in January. So, I mean, it was just a mess last year.
And Danso came in and then Dragusin did his ACL.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just, we really, as Ange was saying last season, whenever he thought that there was light at the end of the tunnel, it turned out to be an oncoming train.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly how it was with our centre-backs last year.
Yeah, so, I mean, not much change for the centre-backs to this year. We've got Danso, Van der Ven, Romero, Kota Takai, the new addition, and Ben Davies. So
Dragusin's obviously
Dragusin there as well. Dragusin there
he's
as
done
well.
his ACL.
So
I mean, the big difference is they're fit.
Yeah,
that's the big difference at the moment. Yeah, they're fit, and hopefully the way we play might help them. You know, we've already seen so far in the first few games, Van der Ven's not going to be making those big lung-bursting runs as often. He has had to do it a few times, but you know, under Ange was doing it 3 or 4 times a game. Hopefully he's not having to do it that many. I look at the centre-backs. I think if we have the same problems as last season, then we're in trouble. But the thing is, I mean, can you plan a squad that your first 2 centre-backs are going to be out for that long? I mean, it's difficult to do that. You know,
it is difficult to do that, but it has been 2 years in a row that we've had our first 2 choice centre-backs out for a significant amount of time.
I mean, the first year, Romero only missed that he got sent off. I don't think he had a serious injury in his first year, but the second year, obviously, he did. Yeah, it's true. Van der Ven has had 2 serious injuries. So that's obviously a big problem. We've got Danso there. You've got, I mean, we don't know about Takai. We have to wait and see.
I think, look, in an ideal world, we would want one more centre-back that could cover at fullback as well, in an ideal world. Now, I think that with the issues that we had, that we talked about yesterday in the Champions League squad, one injury into the back line and we're looking a bit light there.
And I think, obviously I don't like bringing them up, but if you look at Arsenal, they have Gabriel and Saliba, right? They're their first choice. But what they've done brilliantly is they've got Hincapié, Calafiori, Ben White, and Timber can all play centre back, and they play fullback.
Yeah.
You look at City. I mean, I know he's gone, but for years they had a Kanji, they had Ake, players who can play just as well. That's the kind of profile we're missing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, look, I think we would have preferred it if we had one more just to bolster up those numbers. And it is a bit of PTSD as well, just because what we've been through over the past couple of years. There is a situation saying, you know, if it gets really bad, Archie Gray can kind of play that role, but you don't really want him to play that role.
I think with centre backs as well. Now we don't have Ange, who asks a lot of his centre backs physically. I'm not saying they're not going to be working hard, but hopefully. You look at Van Dijk, he just plays every game, doesn't he? You look at Gabriel Saliba, I know they had their injuries in the moment, but they when they're fit, they play, Champions League, Premier League, it's not they rotate. That's the stage we've got to be in. So I don't see Romero and Van de Ven as like, we're rotating them. But obviously, when you've come off the back of the injuries they've had last season, it's hard to envisage them playing 40, 50 games, because we've just never seen it. But I think that's got to be the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, look, in an ideal world, but we all know with Mickey and his hamstrings, every time he kind of goes on a marauding run, or every time he kind of just feels that leg of his,
you hold your breath.
Building the worst.
You hold your breath.
The worst. So, yeah, look, I'm happy with the quality that we've got in defence, but like I said, I think one more, and I think we would have been very much more comfortable going into this season. That's the reality. So that's the centre-back situation. If you look at left-backs, last year we had Destiny, we had Spence, we had Reguilon, and we had Ben Davis. I don't think Ben Davis actually covered too much at left-back last year. He was predominantly more of a centre-back under Ange.
Well, a lot of it was injury-related.
Yeah.
Because we just had no centre-back, so he had to play there.
Yeah.
But he played... he did play a few Europa League games there, I remember.
Yeah. Reguilon obviously was very much underused, barely used him, just in 1 or 2 games, which I thought with the injury problems that we were going through, he should have had more of a role last year. Mad to think Reguilon still can't find a club, so that's where other clubs think of him. This year, basically just take out Reguilon and you're left with the same of Jed Spence, Destiny Udogie, and Ben Davis.
Yeah, and if need be, Van de Ven could fill in there. We've seen it before, so he's a potential option, but you don't want him there. You want him at centre back, don't you? So especially you've got Danto coming in. So yeah, look, it's one option down,
but one option which we didn't use. So
yeah, one option we didn't use. It's pretty much as you were. Again, I would prefer. I guess you could say Ben Davis is that profile we're talking about, a centre back who can play left back. But for me, when you're talking about Calafiori and Hincapié and Akanji and Ake and then Ben Davis, I think there's just a big difference.
Yeah,
and that's the reality. So, look, I think we're light. We have options. Gray can also step in at fullback as well. But I think the problem is if Udogie gets a long-term injury, like he has again, another player who has done, you don't think you've got great options there, but. Obviously, Spencer's done well. And the problem with Spence is he's covering both right back and left back.
Yeah. So we've got 3 fullbacks at the required level. After that, the quality massively drops. That's the reality. So one injury to any of those fullbacks and we're in trouble, in my opinion. And so let's look at the right backs, then we can kind of review all the fullbacks as a whole. So last year, we deployed Archie Gray there, Pedro Porro, Jed Spence. And then this year, I mean, Archie could play there, but we haven't seen it. But it's Pedro Porro and Jed Spence.
Well, we haven't needed to see it.
Yeah.
So, again, Porro's one of those players that you're not worried about getting injured. But then again, he's been so injury-free. Is he bound to get an injury at some point? I guess that's the worry. And then obviously Spence covers. And yeah, look, you got Gray that can cover there as well. So I think again, it's good options. Look, I think it's fine. I mean, it's fine. In theory, the only problem is Spence is first choice backup for both roles.
Yeah, which is not really fine. It's not really fine. Like when you're trying to compete on all fronts, when you're trying to compete in 4 different competitions, League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Champions League, you do need that extra option there. You need 2 options on the left, 2 options on the right, where the quality doesn't really drop. And we don't have that.
Yeah, we have 1 for each. And yeah, I mean, you don't look at the end of the day, you don't really want Ben Davies starting left back in a Champions League game, do you? That's basically the issue. You can rotate. It's fine, probably rotating one of Udogie and Porro for Champions League or Premier League, kind of like what we attempted last year, but we kind of fell flat on our face because we just got so many injuries. I think in theory it could work because you rotate one in the Champions League, rotate one in the Premier League, and you can kind of get away with it, but it relies on them all staying fit. Once one goes down, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think you are kind of asking a lot of them, to be honest. You're asking a hell of a lot. We asked a lot of Porro last year, and I don't think it's sustainable for him to just keep playing that many games season after season after season, as well as, this year he's going to be going to the World Cup with Spain, potentially starting for them. So, I mean, this guy is going to have to play a hell of a lot of football. So I don't think it's sustainable. And I do think come the January transfer window, we have to dip into the market to try and help out those players.
I mean, if he's determined not to play Davis in these games, which I think I wouldn't be surprised. Again, if they all stay fit, I think it's a manageable situation. But as I've said, I think if one goes down, all of a sudden, one of them has to play every game, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah. And, the likelihood of all three of them staying all fit all season is... I wouldn't say it's very likely. We've seen Udogie consistently get injured since he's come, really.
But obviously, Gray can play there as well, right back.
Yeah, look, we've got options, but we're talking about having options where the quality doesn't massively drop. And if you play Davis and Archie there, the quality massively drops.
Obviously, you play them together, but if you've got one of Udogie and Porro there, and then you're playing
still
Archie,
massively drops on one side.
It drops, but you got to. He can fill in. Depends on how bad the injury is, but.
Yeah.
I think, look, Gray to be fair, Gray's played fullback majority of his career now at this point. So I think he can fill in there, which isn't a terrible option. But yeah, I think we're short. We are short.
Look, we can say that Gray has played there the majority of his career, but he's not a Premier League, Champions League level fullback. That's the problem. So definitely light in those areas. Moving on to the central midfield. This is where we're at last season with Bentancur, Bergvall, Bissouma, Sarr and Gray. And this year, I think it's, definitely an improvement with the addition of João Palhinha, but pretty much as we were, just adding João Palhinha in there. You've got Bergvall with an extra year of development behind him. You've got Archie Gray with an extra year of development behind him. Bissouma won't be an option. He'll probably go at some point. I hope so. Anyway, I think like maybe a Turkish team or a Saudi team are going to come in for him. Still some time left to do that deal. But yeah, in terms of our central midfield, I'm happy with the options.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think you're still. Is there? Look, I think the big question is there enough of like playmaking, passing ability in that midfield? That's kind of where a lot of concerns are. And I understand that, but I look at those options, and I think we do have a lot of good options, young options, experience, a good mix, a good blend. I think you've got Frank should be very happy. I mean, look, he's been used to working with Norgard, Jensen, Janel. Like, I'm not saying these are bad players, but I mean, look at the options he has now, and he should be like delighted with what he's got at his disposal, what he can work with. Yeah. And I think essentially you're just upgrading Bissouma to Palhinha, who I think is he's just a lot more consistent. He's not going to, well, I mean, I guess he did have a bad game against Bournemouth, but he's going to be there most games when he plays, when called upon, just being consistent dual winner. He's going to do his job. Whereas Bissouma just had that tendency to switch off in a lot of games and leave you wanting more. So I think there's a lot of good options there. You've got to be hopeful Bergvall can get back to that consistent level he's showing last season. Sarr seems to be improving as well. Gray, he's the one we just need a bit more from. Apart from that, I'm pretty happy with those options.
Yeah, and I do think that Gray can have a really good, strong season under Thomas Frank. We know that Thomas Frank likes him. We know that Thomas Frank tried to sign him for Brentford. I think we hijacked them when we did sign Archie. So I think Archie will have a good season this year under Thomas Frank, and the other players will come on. We've already seen Pape Matar Sarr start the season on fire. When you're talking about that player that can like progress the ball up the pitch, out of those players, I think like Bergvall's probably the best one at it. He's probably the one that we're going to look at and be like, look, this is going to be you.
Yeah, and I think Bentancur potentially can do it, but I think, Bergvall's the one with the most quality. He's got the most kind of technical ability in that middle, ability to go on the half turn, bravest guy on the ball, you know. Whereas Paulinho, Sarr, Bentancur, I feel like most of the time they just play it safe too often. I feel like there was a time when Bentancur wasn't doing that just for his ACL, and we need him to get back to those kind of levels on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. So midfield, I think, well stocked, a lot of numbers, so that's definitely a positive. In the attacking midfield, last year, it was pretty much just Maddison and Decky. This year, we've got more players, but obviously Maddison's out for the season pretty much with the ACL. Decky is going to be back after the new year, and we need to get him back to those levels and match fit. So that's going to take some time. But we do have Xavi Simons, obviously, which is our star signing this summer. Mohamed Kudus, who's going to be deployed mostly on the right, but he can play there if need be. It's just such a massive shame that we have these injuries, because if we didn't have the injuries, look at those options, man.
I know. I mean, who else in the Premier League would have a attacking midfield roster like that? But very few, if any, teams can compete with that kind of level of depth in the attacking midfield. So it's such a shame Maddison's done his ACL and Decky's got a long-term injury, because at the end of the day, the plan was to bring in Gibbs White anyway. So we would have had this even if Maddison didn't get injured. The plan was always bring in another number 10. So it's gutting, and let's just hope Maddison come back quicker than. Look, this season's probably right off for him. Hopefully, Decky, second half of the season, he can start playing again, and we can get him involved. But I'm very happy with Simons. I think he's a phenomenal signing. I think we've done brilliantly to get him in. Massive credit to the recruitment team for that. Listening to Johan Lang, just listening to him, he implied he was a player we wanted earlier in the window and wasn't available, and only came available later on. So, seems as though he was on our list from the start, which is good to know. And obviously Kudus, we know, can play there. He's our first choice right winger, so how much time we'll see him there, but he's also an option if need be.
Yeah. So look, I'm happy, but I do feel like there are key members within that starting 11 for us that if they go down, then we start to be in a bit of trouble. Because I think like if Xavi Simons gets injured, for example, then obviously you need to probably shift Mohamed Kudus into the centre, then who goes on the right, and does the quality really decrease if we do that in the forward line? I think it does. You look at João Palhinha, if he gets injured in the number 6, do we have anyone with that kind of steel in the middle of the park? Probably not. And the defence as well, I think is a bit of a precarious situation. So look, I do think a lot of teams have that with, if one player go down, but I feel like we've got a few of them.
Look, we signed a player. The players we've signed because we needed them, and so if they get injured, then it's a problem, of course. But it's just there's only so much you can do, I guess, in that situation.
Let's move on to the left wing. Last season was Sonny, Matisse Tell, Mikey Moore, Wilson Odebear, and Timo Werner. And Sonny was obviously an aging Sonny. He was still by far the best left winger at the club. These other guys didn't really contribute last season, to be honest. I think Mikey Moore showed flashes, particularly in the Europa League. Odebear and Tell didn't really contribute, with Odebear being injured out for the majority, and Timo just got banished from the team after a string of poor performances against like Tamworth and against Rangers, and we never saw him since. So it was pretty much Sonny and Tell kind of mixing in a bit towards the latter stages of the season. That's pretty much what our left-wing options were. You move on to this season. Brennan's been deployed on the left so far, first 3 games with 2 goals. You've got Wilson Odebear and Matisse Tell, who you expect to have a bigger impact this season than what they had last season. And then you've got Xavi Simons as well, who can play out on the left wing. I
actually also wouldn't be surprised if we see Moani there a few times as well, because I know he's more of a striker, but I actually think the way he plays, he could and the way Johnson plays, quite similar when they play on the wing. And I think Moani could do it to a better extent. Like, he could be more involved in the play, and he can be like a left wing forward. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Moani there quite a bit potentially. But yeah, I look at our options on the left, and it just depends on Odebear and Tell, doesn't it? I mean, we know Johnson's one of those players where, look, if he's not scoring, he's not really providing that much. We know that. He's just very good at getting into the box and scoring and finding the right moment. But is he a player that's upgradable 100%? Is he a player that you want to rely on to be your starting left winger? Probably not. You've got Tell and Odebear. Again, high potential. if I told you there are starting left wingers at the moment, again, is that good enough? Probably not. So we've got three wingers who, all in their own right, are good and, have their, in their own right, you don't mind having them all as part of the squad, but you also don't want any of them being our first choice. So we're kind of a difficult situation there. You probably want someone who's star quality there.
Yeah, and that's why I was really disappointed that we didn't bring in a left winger in the summer transfer window. Look, they're going to have the first half of the season now till January, and we'll see how they get on. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's another position that we try and target in January if these guys haven't kicked on. And look, I know we've had a lot of conversations about Odegaard and Tell, and I do think that, at some point in the future that they could be really good players. But I think from a squad planning perspective and stuff, like signing Tell was probably a poor decision. And we probably should have just left it at that and gone for a tried and tested left winger that can come in and start for us week in, week out.
Yeah, I think you don't need both Tell and Odegaard. You just need one of them. Yeah. Let's be honest. So that's the truth. But it could pay off. Maybe they'll both come good. I think right now, if you offered me would I swap Tell for Lookman? Yeah, I probably would right now because we have Odegaard, who's also a high potential player there. The same with Odegaard. Would I swap Odegaard for Lookman? Probably, and keep Tell. It's just we don't need both of them. It doesn't really make too much sense, I would say, because they're both developing. They both kind of need the game time to, improve themselves and get confidence and just get into a rhythm and develop. And having two players like that in the same position, I would argue, is I don't know how smart that is.
Yeah.
So potentially leaving ourselves open, but on the flip side, if they both start doing it, you have two wingers for a very young age who are providing and could both be very good options for us. So we'll just have to see how they get on.
Yeah, but big eyes on them. It's a massive season for both of them this season, massive. But when you're looking at the left wing,
I also feel like they just get judged so early. Like, I know it's harsh, and I know. Look, we're Spurs fans. We pay high prices and we rightly have expectations for us to be challenging. But I feel like, Bergvall after 6 months, which the same amount Tell, wasn't really cutting it. Odegaard has basically had most of last season out with injury. And they're still 20 years old. They're so young. You just give them a bit more time, I think.
I don't disagree. But when you're looking at Bergvall, he was thrown into the deep end and asked to play week in, week out, pretty much. Because of injuries that we got in the centre of the park. Odegaard and Tell are fighting for a position with Brennan Johnson. So there are three options there. Are they going to get afforded the same kind of chance that Bergvall got to really make his name week in, week out playing? I don't know if they are.
Yeah, it's a question. I mean, there's a lot of games, so I think they'll get their chances. But it's about getting consistent minutes.
That's it. I don't know if they're going to get that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if both will. Yeah, but maybe one of them, but I don't know if both.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all about getting those minutes and grabbing your chance because I know they're young. They're both 20 years of age, but they're here in the squad to make an impact. Mm-hmm. They have to make an impact. They're literally so important to the team. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at the moment. So if they're that important to the team, they got to deliver.
I understand that, but I think they can.
I hope so. But when you're looking at the weakest part of the squad, if you're going to assume Javi Simons is going to play in the middle, Kudus is going to play on the right, the left wing is a quality drop.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to the right wing, last year was Decky, Brennan, Mikey Moore and Wilson Odegaard. Obviously, we spoke about Odegaard being injured for the majority. Brennan Johnson, 18 goals last season in all comps. Decky, he was predominantly played in the middle, but did have games out wide as well. And Mikey Moore, obviously 17-year-old playing majority in the Europa League at right wing sometimes. And I always felt he looked a lot better on the left than he did on the right. You look at this season now, I think Mohamed Kudus is a major addition in that spot. You've got Decky, who's going to come back at some point. You've got Brennan Johnson, who actually hasn't played there yet. And you've got Wilson Odegaard, who I think probably will be predominantly on the left, but he's definitely he'll be an option.
He played there in pre-season, didn't he, Johnson?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he played on the right a few games, but yeah, he has predominantly played on the left. He has only played on the left.
It's going to be interesting to see what we do with Decky when he comes back. Mm-hmm. Is he going to be more of a central player? Is he going to be more on the right? I think he can do a great job under Frank in both the areas, to be honest. And when he does come back, and get back to match fitness, he's going to change the game for us in terms of options that we have on the right and in the middle, and we might see some more players playing different positions, and it will just increase the quality that we have. But in terms of the right wing spot, just Kudus is a game changer.
Yeah, and he gives us something we never had, which is, first of all, almost like a target man on the wing, someone who can hold the ball up exceptionally well, someone who gets involved in loads of duels, unbelievable dribbling ability, probably the best in the squad and one of the best in the league. So he provides something extraordinary, and I think we've already seen what he can provide in the Tottenham shirt. Obviously, you want maybe more of a goal threat, which we haven't seen as of yet. But if you can add that you're talking about potentially world-class player. The only thing I would say, it's not his fault, but in the first 3 games, it's already worrying kind of how reliant we are on him. That's what I would say. It's like, it kind of feels like we build up and we're struggling, and it's like, okay, just give it to Kudus and he'll just wriggle out of a situation.
I kind of feel like that could change now with Javid Simons.
Yeah, for sure.
Right now.
I agree with that. It's just something to observe. I think Bournemouth exploited it. They just basically prevented us building up from that side and say, okay, don't worry, give it to Spence and Johnson. They can have it, but just don't let Kudus and Porro have it. And that was kind of a big problem.
That's another thing as well. Like, I agree with what you're saying, but even with Javi Simons there, you've seen Arsenal, right, where they do little next to nothing on the left, and it's all goes through Saka on the right-hand side. So if you kind of block that right side of the pitch for them, they're pretty blunt. And it could be the same for us, like on the left wing. If, let's say, Tell and Odebear are at the stage that they're at now, and you put Brennan Johnson out on the left-hand side, build-up is going to be literally zilch on that left-hand side. So you're all they need to focus is on our right-hand side, and we're going to be blunt.
Well, I think he improved when Odebear came on. He was actually able to get the ball.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm saying if we start with Brennan Johnson.
Yeah. And that's the role Brennan plays, isn't it? It's about him finishing off. And we need Bergvall, Simmons that can really solve it. But I think it's an observation. I think in the first 3 games we are heavily reliant on Kudus, basically just pulling a rabbit out of the hat whenever he gets the ball, and that's not sustainable. Yeah,
look, now we have Javi Simons. Now I do think we can attack him through the middle, through the right. I just think we need more quality on the left, but. I'm happy with our right wing options, and when Decky comes back, it's going to improve it tenfold, in my opinion. Imagine having like Kudus on the right, and then bringing on Decky. Like, they're both like dual monsters, aren't they? So
yeah, I think we'd have if Decky's considered a right winger, we have fantastic options there.
And then we move on to the striking position, the attacker, and it's Richarlison, Solanke, Tell, and Sonny last year. Obviously, Sonny. Was predominantly a striker 2 years ago, where he got 17 goals. Last year he was predominantly on the left wing. Richarlison had his injury problems last year. Solanke also had his injury problems, but he was the one that was our main number 9, and Tell played 1 or 2 games there, I think, when he first came. Moving on now to this season, basically we removed Sonny and put Kolo Muani, who is a proper number 9. You've got Matisse Tell there as well as the 4th option. Richarlison started the season on fire. Dom Solanke, I don't know what's going on with him. There's been no update regarding his injury. But
conflicting reports.
Yeah. So when you're looking at number 9 options, I'm thinking this is our best number 9 roster for quite some time.
Yeah, and I think there's goals there. I think there's quality there. It's just I think on the face of it, you've got 3 very good number 9s, and obviously Tell. He's Tell at the moment. He's still young, and when he's played in that position, he just physically doesn't seem to be up to it just of yet. Although I think he is a good finisher in front of goal. He hasn't quite done it for us. But I think in theory, you have 3 very good number 9s. All of them, I would argue, are capable of getting at least 10 to 15 Premier League goals if they're all our starting number 9. So and they all offer something a bit different as well. Richarlison's a brilliant penalty box striker. Solanke's a fantastic presser and great hold up, and different in physicality. Muani's great at running in behind, and great at running at defenders and things like that. So, in theory, you've got all bases covered. On the flip side, there are rumours that Solanke's out for 3 months. Richarlison's obviously got historically horrendous injury problems, and can you rely on him to stay fit for a whole season? And then Muani is a bit of an unknown player in the Premier League. We'll have to see how he adapts. But, he's off the back of a difficult spell at PSG, albeit he's done fairly well at Juve and they wanted him back. So there's two ways of looking at it. I'm pretty positive about them. I think they could all get goals, and I think Frank will be looking at his striker options, considering what he did with Tony, Morpie, Mbuemo, Wissa, Watkins, Sade, what he's done with these players. I think he'll be looking at Moani, Richarlison, Solanke, if they're all fit, thinking I can get them all scoring. But there's also a negative side to look at it. But I'm not looking at. I think I'm looking at the options and thinking we're in a really good position there up front.
What's the negative side? I know you like to always look at two sides.
I told you.
Oh, okay.
Richarlison's got injury problems. Solanke's potentially out for 3 months, and Moani is off. Off the back of a difficult couple of years.
Yeah, look, I'm happy. I am happy with the number 9 options. I'm happy with the right wing options, assuming Decky's going to get back to full fitness by the turn of the year. And it's just the left wing where I'm a bit worried about and a bit concerned. But it's, the coach has got a coach now. It's up to Frank to get the best out of Odebear and Tell. We're always told, like you mentioned about him getting the best out of all the wingers and the strikers at Brentford. Now he's got to do it at Tottenham. And he's got to earn his money and get them firing on all cylinders. So if he can do that, and if Odebear and Tell can really provide a proper option for us this season, where they can impact games, get consistent goal contributions, then no one's going to worry about the left wing. But it's about getting them there.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it's just probably one of them we really need to properly step up, at least one of them. And then all of a sudden we're in a good position. And you've got Moani you could fill in there. You've got Simmons you can fill in there. So I think we do have options around the forward line. I think we've done very, very well. That's the big success of this window. It's just upgrading that forward line massively. Last season, how many times we had Brennan on the right, Son on the left. And, every time we'd get the ball out wide, they just couldn't hang on to the ball and they were just giving the ball away, and it was so hard to watch. You had, even at times, we had no Solanke or Richarlison. Basically, whenever the ball went forward, we just couldn't hang on to it, and it was really hard to watch at times. This season, you add Siemens in there, you had Kudus in there, you had Moani in there. I think we're going to be a different prospect. I think we're going to be a lot of different prospect going forward. And hopefully, look, the big question was, losing Sonny, Decky, Maddison, that's a lot of goal contributions. Have we replaced those? Yeah. That's the big question mark. I think we've gone a long way to doing it. I don't know if they're going to hit, whatever it was, 67 goal contributions. But hopefully, with a more robust defence, I think we've got enough firepower to make the difference. Yeah,
look, I'm happy in the direction that the squad is going. I don't think we're there just yet. I think that when you're looking at other Premier League clubs, I'd probably say we've got the 5th strongest squad in the Premier League, I would say. And I think that's fine for where we're at right now. Thomas Frank's first full season, his first transfer window. Last season, we had so many gaps. We still have gaps, but it's nowhere near as many as we had last season. So we're going in the right direction. We've shifted kind of the way we do our transfers now, not just going for young players with potential. We've brought in ready-made players that are ready to hit the ground running, like João Palhinha, like Mohamed Kudus. Xabi Simons is young, but he's got plenty of experience as well. We've brought in players with experience, and these are the kind of caliber and profile of players that we need to be going for. And I'm happy that we've kind of shifted from young and upcoming to Premier League proven experience. And that's what we've needed to do. So I think we're going in the right direction. We still need more, for sure. But I think we can still have a good season. I think we will have a good season.
Yeah, and I think it's really exciting. It's a very exciting squad. Simmons, Kudus, Moani are all extremely exciting additions. I think they all add so much to the forward line, and I think all of them could all be big successes. Especially Simmons, he's got, man, I still can't believe we're talking about him as part of the Tottenham squad. I really can't, because he's such a dream signing, and I can't believe we've been able to get him through the door and convince him to come, because it's phenomenal, and he's going to, honestly, I've got such high hopes for him. We've got guys who I think could really do it now, like those three. You've got Tell and Odebear, potentially, who've got high potential. Same with midfield. You've got Gray and Bergval, who've got high potential. You've got guys who can do it now, Bentacle, Palhinha, Sarr. Like, you've got confidence in that. So I think there's a really nice blend now of experience and potential and youth. Romero signed. He signed a new contract. We didn't mention that. Unbelievable for the squad. Partnered with Van der Ven, who's now had a couple of years. Hopefully, he can get over those hamstring issues if he can. then we're laughing with those two at the back. I think they're unbelievable duo. So I think, yeah, the big questions are fullback. If we get a long-term injury to one of those three, what do we do then? Are we a bit in trouble? If we get a long-term injury to one of Van der Ven or Romero, or both, like we have done last season, then we're in a bit of trouble. And also, Simons right now, while Decky and Maddison are injured, if he picks up an injury, although I was looking, his injury record is actually pretty good. He had quite a big one last year, but that's the only big one he's ever had. Similar to Moani, he's only had one injury in his career, and that was an ankle injury.
Unfortunately, injury records mean nothing before you come to Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, it's also true. But hopefully that bodes well to the fact that hopefully he won't pick up a big injury. Moani as well. I wonder if we've looked at injury records before making these signings, because we've seemed to be making players.
Everyone made such a big thing about Dom Solanke's injury record before he came. So, it's something to note, but we'll see how the season progresses. Because an injury can pop up for anyone at any point, regardless of your injury record.
Yeah, the problem with it, how we're analysing all this stuff, and we come into this with a very negative mindset because of how bad last season was with injuries. Like, obviously, we'd never seen anything like last season. Every week last season, or every day, it seemed like someone else was picking up a long-term injury or a big injury, or this one's going to be out for this amount of time, and blah, blah, blah. And the even worse was the fact that we kept hearing, it's nothing serious, there's a knock, and then the next day we're here, it's actually 3 months. So we're just so kind of focused on that. Whenever we review the squad now, it's like, well, if he gets a long-term injury and he gets a long-term injury and he gets a long-term injury, we're in this position, that position. Or if they don't, then we're okay.
If they don't, we're okay. But I think, look at Arsenal, for example. Again, I don't like to compare to Arsenal, but they've built a squad now where they get injuries in their first 11. They're fine. They're okay. I know the quality drops from Saka to Madueke, but still, like, majority of places in the pitch, if they get a long-term injury, they're completely fine. And that they've planned for that because of the injuries that they got last season.
Yeah.
We got major injuries last season, and albeit it's better and we have less holes, but still there are players in the squad that if they get injured, we are a bit screwed.
But they have built that squad over
100%.
6 years.
100%. That's why I'm kind of happy of where we're at this moment in time. Like I said, first transfer window under Thomas Frank, we're in a good place right now, and we're kind of building really well. But we do need to add those profiles and those key figures in transfer windows to come.
And you're looking at players in the squad right now who you think could potentially be surplus to requirements in the year, and they're very few. There aren't too many.
Yeah, it just depends on the development of the young players, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's true. But you're thinking of Deadwood, and I don't see much Deadwood at the moment.
Yeah, everyone's going to have to play their part. So I would see Ben Davis is probably going to have to be moved. Well, his contract ends at the end of the year. Are we going to look to move him on in January to make way for another centre-back that can play at fullback? I'd probably say we'll probably try to. And the left wing, it all depends on Tellen Odebear. Because if we're going to look to bring in another left winger, surely one of them are going to have to make way.
That's if we do, yeah.
So, that is the where we're at. I'm kind of happy of where we're at, and I think we can have a really good season. I said in my pre-season predictions, I think we'll finish 6th, but that was of the assumption that Manchester United were going to have a good season. And after seeing the way they've started, it's kind of made me think that we should be finishing 5th this year.
I said 7th. I'm going to bump up to 5th.
5th, yeah.
After the signings we've made.
Yeah, so I think 5th is where we should be at this season, I think. And 5th will be a very good season, potentially back in the Champions League as well.
Do you see us as heavy favourites for 5th?
I wouldn't say... Look, I think Newcastle... I think it's between us and Newcastle. I think Newcastle, I know they've lost Isak, but they've brought in Wissa, they've brought in Voltmader, which we don't know how Voltmader is going to do. It's crazy to spend 80 million on him. But Wissa can get you goals. I think it's a massive kind of drop from Isak to them, but I'm looking at their midfield. I think they got a better midfield than us. I think we got a better defence than them. Gordon probably gets in our team out on the left wing. So, yeah, I think if you were to do a combined 11 between Spurs and Newcastle, it would be very even.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're... I think we're probably slight favourites for 5th, but I would say because we got that Champions League this season, Newcastle do as well, but I would stay. I wouldn't pass as like overwhelming favourites. I think it's pretty tight between us and Newcastle. And I would even still include United because if they do sack Amorim, they've got a great squad. And I just think Amorim isn't using his squad to the best of its ability. Like I think that squad is built for 4 at the back and a 4-3-3. If they find a manager who's going to play that way, and they get him installed early, they could be a serious threat again. So I think there's a slight chance they could get there as well. Look, could Bournemouth or Bournemouth or Brighton or one of these clubs make a run for it, or Villa even? I still think it's unlikely. I look at them and think they're all good teams, don't get me wrong, and they all probably will fight for that 7th spot or 6th spot. I just don't really see them getting close to 5th.
I still think we're stronger than Man United, man for man.
But they got no Europe, remember?
Yeah,
so,
it's true. Yeah,
you know, will that catch up with us?
Yeah, it could do. But in my opinion, I think it's between us and Newcastle of where everyone's at this moment in time. And I think it'll be a strong fight, a strong battle. Both have Champions League. I do think our squad's a bit deeper than Newcastle, so I think that's probably going to stand us in better stead than them. So I'm going to go for us to pip Newcastle to that 5th spot. Which made me think, actually, I just brought up in front of me the 18-19 squad that we made Champions League final with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How strong is this squad that we've got now compared to that squad?
So that was Poch's
last season.
Last season.
Yeah. Which I think it probably stacks up pretty well against.
I would say... Well,
Obviously,
are we
Kane
talking about it when these players were talking about the 18-19
Well, if
at
you
that
wanna do
point,
that,
or was
then-
that their peak?
I mean, if you want to do that, we can talk about the last season at White Hart Lane team, because that was everyone at their pomp.
That was at them at their peak, yeah.
But obviously, we had star quality in Kane and Son that just got us out of the mud every week, and we don't have that. That's the issue.
Yeah, but I feel like we relied on Kane and Son a lot more after Poch to like get us out of the mud. Before then, it wasn't just them we were relying on.
Yeah, I felt like in this season, it might have been definitely in the Champions League run more Son than Kane.
Also, yeah,
Or in
Kane
the
was
Man
injured
City
quite a
game
bit.
anyway, yeah.
But in terms, if we're going through the squad, I think
Like the goalkeepers, Vaughan,
Lloris.
Gazaniga, Lloris, I think, there's debatable saying that we got better goalkeepers now.
I still think Lloris was probably better than look. I think, but Vicario is probably better than Lloris playing at the back. And Vicario is a great shot stopper. I do think Lloris was a better shot stopper than Vicario. Like he was crazy. I think so underrated how good of a shot stopper he was. I still would pick prime Lloris over Vicario.
Is this prime Lloris though? The last year, the Champions
I think
League
then
run?
was still. It was like after that he was starting to decline a bit.
Gazaniga, Vaughan against, Brandon Austin. Obviously, Vaughan is better than Brandon Austin, I guess.
And Kinski.
And Kinski against Gazaniga. I put Kinski ahead of Gazaniga.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway,
Right back, Trippier and... Oh, we didn't have Walker then, but we had Walker.
no, it's Trippier and Aurier.
So this is that squad. So Trippier and Aurier versus Porro and Spence.
I go for Porro and Spence.
Yeah, probably.
I go for Porro and Spence.
Although, would you pick prime Trippier or Porro? Got to remember this guy went to La Liga, won the league.
Yeah,
Brilliant for Newcastle.
but he left us this summer, right?
And we wanted him gone.
Yeah, we chased him out of the club.
Yeah, but that was a mistake in hindsight, I think.
In hindsight, yeah, it was a mistake, but he was actually poor that season.
He said he was injured that whole year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aurier is Aurier.
I think as a pairing, you go for ours, Porro and Spence, over Trippier and Aurier.
I agree.
Left backs, who we had Danny Rose, who was poor that year. And who else did we have?
Rose and Davis.
Rose and Davis.
Now we have a doggy in Davis, probably you could say.
Yeah, still Davis.
Nearly 10 years on.
Yeah, I'd go for a doggy over that Danny Rose for sure.
Yeah. I think a doggy's brilliant, but I know he's had injury problems, and when he's come back, so, hasn't been at his best sometimes. But I think when a doggy leaves Tottenham, I think we're gonna be saying he's our best ever left back in the Premier League.
Really, that's big words.
It's only him or Rose, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
We're not blessed with loads of great left backs.
Christian Ziga.
And Ziga.
Anyone who is our best left back in the Premier League?
Rose.
Is it Rose?
He's
it's
pretty
probably
clear. No one else is really there.
Yeah. Centre back is Toby, Jan, Juan Foyth, Eric Dyer. Now we got Kuti. Like basically, we're asking Jan and Toby against Van der Ven and Kuti. I mean, it's Jan and Toby clear.
It's Jan and Toby.
Yeah.
Has to be.
It's Jan and Toby clear. Midfield, we have Wanyama, Winks, Sissoko, Dembele.
I mean, on paper, you could argue we have a better set midfielders. But Dembele didn't even make the Champions League final. He was sold before
him
then.
in January, yeah.
Winks and Sissoko, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, basically, Winks and Sissoko dragged us to the Champions League final.
Yeah, which, I mean, I would much prefer Bentancur, Baulinia,
Yeah.
and Sarenberg, Val.
But obviously, the only player at their best out of them lot that gets into our team, well, would you say Wanyama at his best is better than Paulinho at his best?
Ooh. I would say that one season of Wanyama is probably better than any season of Paulinho.
And Dembele at his best. Just
Yeah, it's of course, he's incredible.
So probably say prime those players getting
Yeah.
against our guys. Attacking midfielder was Dele and Ericsson. And like Dele and Ericsson, like in their prime, was just like wow. They walk into this team. They walk in.
Definitely. But they weren't in their prime in that year.
Yeah,
I remember Ericsson had a bit of a poor year because he was looking to leave.
yeah. Left winger was Sonnen and Kudu.
Over
And again, there's no
Johnson.
debate here. This is prime Son we're
Johnson,
talking about.
Tell, Odebert.
This is prime Son we're talking about. So left wing, they get it. Right wing, Lucas Moura, Eric Lamela. I mean,
I say Kudus, yeah.
Kudus over Lucas Moura and Lamela, yeah. And Harry Kane is Harry Kane, so there's no debate there.
Yeah. But if we're talking squad-wise,
Kane, Janssen, Llorente.
over Moani, Solanke and Richarlison.
Yeah. I still take Kane just because it's Kane.
Yeah, but Janssen and Llorente, you're probably taking our strikers over that now.
Yes, but if you're taking the trio, I'm still taking the trio with
Yeah,
as
you're
Kane
taking
in it.
Kane, yeah. But in terms of depth, you could argue we've got a stronger depth now.
You can argue it, but you know, Llorente was so important to us that year.
Yeah, but we're talking about who's got a stronger squad, I guess.
Yeah. I would say depth we've got stronger now, but if you said to me, would you swap those three? I would say yes.
Is this the strongest squad since Poch?
Since Poch, yeah, for sure. For sure, this is the strongest squad since Poch.
Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, and
100%. There's no even debate about it. Like, name me a stronger squad that we've had since. Apart from like the Mourinho squad when we had Kane and Son out there, like just smashing it every team. You could say that, but it was only Kane and Son really. Like we had no one else. So as a squad, I think this is it.
Yeah, I think it's much better. I think it's the best. You can even say when we had Poch, like we had an amazing first 11, but beyond that was not great, was it?
Yeah, I know, but the
You're
quality.
putting
of
Wimmer
first
in there,
11,
you're putting in
though,
G,
like-
and you're putting these kind of players in.
It's true, but even like in prime Poch, we used to get like big injuries and we used to just handle it.
Yeah, we handled it, but it wasn't so many. It wasn't like loads at one time.
Yeah.
It was like one or two, I remember, usually. But yeah, you could argue.
Like Vertonghen would go out for like 2 months and Kevin Wimmer would just come in and just be sensational.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then, I remember Rose got ruled out for 6 months and Davis came in and was great.
Yeah.
So it happened. But I think, yeah, in terms of squad depth and as a squad, it might be a stronger, like, depth of squad. I mean, yeah, obviously the 11 was much better then. But in terms of the squad, I mean, we've
So
got
what would
very
you
good
prefer
depth now.
then? Would you prefer the prime Pochettino squad or the prime or this squad that we've got now? Because you're saying that the depth is probably better now, but the first 11 smashes our first 11.
Yeah. If you're doing a combined 11, yeah, it's majority 16, 17 Spurs for
So
sure.
would you prefer an unbelievable first 11 with not much depth or the first 11 we got now with better depth?
That's
Probably
the
the
thing.
first 11.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, but it held us back, didn't it? We finished second, but we didn't do anything in any of the cups, did we?
We finished second, yeah, but we're saying we're only going to finish fifth.
But maybe we'll win an FA Cup.
Yeah, to be fair though, we got
Could.
close in cups. Like we didn't get to a FA Cup final. We got to a few semi-finals. We got to a Carabao Cup final with Pochettino. We got to Champions League final with Pochettino. So like we were very close in the cups as well. Don't forget.
That specific season we weren't, I think.
What in the Champions League run?
Not that one. The our last season at the Lane. We got knocked.
Didn't we get to the FA Cup semi-final?
We got knocked out of the group stage of the Champions League.
Yeah, but we got to FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, we did. Semi-final. We lost to Chelsea.
Yeah, which we should have won that game.
Carabao, we got knocked out early.
Yeah.
And then Champions League was group stages.
Yeah. So
hopefully we'll do better in the group stages this year. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm certain of it. But who did we play in the group? We had CSK Moscow. Was it that group?
Monaco.
Yeah, and we played at Wembley.
And Leverkusen. Yeah.
So yeah.
Let us know in the comment section. Is best squad since Poch? Better squad than Poch? Want to know what people think?
Yeah, let us know in the comment section below. But we are going to move on. Just before we move on, we've got any
word on the squad?
Super chat from Dark Sun G saying the AFCON period will be a decider, in my opinion, for top 5.
So who are we missing in the AFCON period?
Just Pape.
Kudus is fine.
Ghana didn't make it, did they? So it's just Pape we're missing.
Just Pape. Okay.
And Brian Daigle, member for 58 months.
Jesus.
Big up, Mr. Brian Daigle says, congrats on 190k, brothers. Only 10k till I need to get the 200k tattoo. The #1 Spurs channel. This is my ride or die channel always. Big up
to Brian Daigle. What a legend. What a legend. And you're going to be seeing more of him soon.
Yeah. A lot more of him. And I cannot wait. But look, let's move on.
No sign of the squad. No, nothing.
Let's move on and let's talk about the different variations and different tactics that we can deploy under Frank. Now the squad is signed, sealed and delivered.
I think picking our first 11 is difficult. It's a tough job.
Yeah. All right. So what I was saying was that there's going to be some games because Frank likes to deploy different tactical setups to depend on who he's playing against and devise different plans against who he's playing against. Mm-hmm. It's going to very much depend on what our best 11 is on who we play. So there's going to be some games where João Palhinha is going to have to play and he's going to be the best player for that setup. But there's going to be some games as well where João Palhinha probably shouldn't play. So it's going to be very interesting.
Well, I think maybe if we assume every game we play is going to be a cup final against Arsenal. What 11 do you play? It's difficult, I think, in a moment to say what our best 11 is if we're playing a 4-3-3. Obviously, I understand what you're saying. Different games call for different players, and he's going to be quite adaptable to that situation. But every team has a best 11 by hook or by crook. Not to say that is the only 11 that plays and that's it, but every team you probably say has a best 11. And it's interesting to see.
I mean, yeah.
Interesting to say what would ours be.
Yeah.
Don't know. Well, this was so first of all, we've got 2 new players, Moani and Simmons. So this is likely to be kind of the setup you'll see. Maybe when we come back against West Ham, potentially.
Yeah, so that's Vicario in goal, Porro right back, Romero van der Ven in the centre back, Udogie left back, Palhinha, Bentancur and Simmons as the midfield 3, but obviously Simmons in the 10, Moani up top, Kudus on the right, and Johnson on the left. Do you think Udogie comes straight back in after the international break? Because Spence
maybe not. Yeah, maybe not Spence, and also maybe not Moani. But I'm just putting. I guess that I don't know. I just put that in. It could be. Yeah, you could put Spence in there as well. I just feel we're better when Udogie's there. In my opinion, I feel like it's better for the team when you have Udogie there than Spence. That's the feeling I get. I think when he drives. I feel like for me when Spence drives down the line, he either runs into traffic or he runs down the line and has to then cut in onto his right foot. I feel like when Udogie does it, he does it with a bit of purpose, He gets to the byline, he cuts it back, he's better at linking. And I think that's just... It's not a criticism of Spence because of him as a player, it's just because he's on the left as a right footer, I feel it holds him back a bit.
Do you not think we are a bit more defensively sound, though?
I don't think it's that much difference, to be honest. I think he is defensively sound, but I think Udogie is as well. I don't think Udogie's a liability.
I think when we're playing teams that have a very strong right wing, really good one-on-one dribbler, I think it's better to play Spence there because I feel like Udogie, he has shown signs of not being the greatest one-on-one defender.
I think he's also shown the opposite. Like he's also, when he first, remember when he first came into the team, everyone's waxing lyrical about how he's locking up defenders. And I think he did go through some spells when he was struggling with injuries and stuff. Like he was struggling, but look how good he was back end of last season.
Yeah.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
And I think my only point is when they're both at their best, I think Spencer's a better defender, don't get me wrong, but I don't think there's much in it. But I do think there's a lot in it when it comes to going forward on the left-hand side, that is.
Yeah, there's a case to say that.
So I think for me, Udogie's in our best 11, but I think having Simmons there, what I love about Simmons is I think he's probably going to be better, obviously coming off that left a bit, but I think his ability to drift, which is going to be afforded to him by Frank, is going to be very crucial. You see Simmons a lot for Leipzig in these kind of positions. He's very good at driving in the space. I think Muani is going to be very good at running in behind, and he's quite good in the box as well. What I think as well is this role here. I would like to see this kind of team. If you put kind of Muani off the left, and you have, I don't know, let's get Rishi in there. Oh. I wouldn't be surprised if you see this quite often. You get Muani there off the left. Yeah, you get him playing kind of that Johnson role. You have Rishi there doing his number 9 thing, and you have Simmons linking up as well. I wouldn't be surprised if this front four could be seen quite a lot.
So, yeah, Simmons in behind, Richarlison, Muani on the left, and Kudus on the right. I mean, I would like to see that, to be fair. I would like to see that because Muani is a good one-on-one dribbler. You got Kudus, who's a good one. You got Simmons as well, and all of them just funneling to create those chances for Richarlison. And also, Muani could drift in there at the back post and become a danger in the box as well.
But also, I wouldn't be surprised if you see this Simmons out there as well. You get maybe you get Kudus here, and Johnson off the right potentially. That's also a potential you could see. If I don't know, I think it may be against. I don't know when you would see it. Maybe against lower blocks, but I think that's also a potential. You could see if it's. I think because they're all so versatile, you could change them all up quite a lot. So I think that's also a front three. I think I quite like the look of that. And obviously, I don't know how. Let's say we got Bergvall in there. All of a sudden, that's quite a lot of technical ability.
So against who do you think we could play that kind of setup against?
Teams sitting a bit deeper potentially.
So like a Bournemouth on the weekend. Do you reckon that's what we should have gone for? Obviously, Simmons wasn't here.
Yeah, but maybe you're not having those same problems in build-up if you're playing something like that. Because on the right, you've got Porro who can build up, and off the left, you've got Simmons you can play the ball down to, and you've got Kudus through the centre. So all of a sudden, you've got all these options. Whereas before, I felt like when you had Johnson off the left, Kudus on the right, obviously we didn't have Simmons there, we had Sarr, but it felt like when we played against Bournemouth, let's say if you play Sarr here with where Simmons was, where is he? Anyways, here he is. So you place that. This is what it was like against Bournemouth. Basically, you just shut down that right-hand side, and there's nothing much else happening here, really, when it comes to playing through them. Whereas if you add Simmons and you add Simmons into that, and maybe you move him to the left, all of a sudden, all throughout the whole picture there's options to build through, play through them, and I think it's a lot better.
Yeah,
like that.
Do you still? I guess we won't. I was going to ask you. Do you still think like against like a Man City, we'll still see Sarr in the number 10?
I think it's potential. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it works so well. Like for specific games, he might come up with those kind of plans. I don't know about like City at home when we obviously
like
expected.
Liverpool at Anfield.
Yeah, maybe Liverpool at Anfield. We do that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And like Javi Simmons on the left.
Yeah, put him on the left. You still start him.
So Anfield, you could put Sarr in the 10, Simmons on the left, Kudus on the right, and then Muani or a Richarlison up top.
And then even, when you go 3 at the back, You put Danso in there. What I really like about having Moani is you put Danso in there. You have this three at the back. Let's say you take Johnson out. You have these, like a 3-5-2 we like to play, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
So you could do like with Simmons in the middle, like that, Richarlison. I guess you might, maybe you play, what I would like to see is something like this, if when Solanke's fit. Solanke and Moani. I would really like to see that, because I think those two up in a front two would complement each other so well. And you have Simmons kind of in behind. The only problem is it means you're dropping Kudus, but that something like this would be a real interesting formation to play with, I think.
What about the 3-4-3? I would like to see a 3-4-3 with Moani up top and Simmons and Kudus just slightly in behind.
That would be a very good transitional team.
Yeah.
Like this. And you probably have Bentancur there next to Paulinho, like two workhorses.
Yeah.
And look at that. That is, you think about, you go away to a tough team, and you have this kind of formation, tough to break down, but then on the transition, you got beasts.
So you've got like Simmons in the pocket there, really creative.
Like the Eze role.
Exactly. Nah, we don't like to drift out to the. It's a Simmons role.
It's a Simmons role.
Drift out to the left, and he can work in the central areas, can work in the left areas. You know, I think that would be really good, and I think I'd actually prefer to see that than the two up top like we saw against PSG.
Yeah, I think it can work. You know, if you play like a Liverpool, who sometimes do like to leave 2-on-2 at the back, I think you might want to play Moani and next to a Solanke or something, because I think that is something I might struggle to deal with. But I think in other games, this 3-4-3, I think the Simmons and Moani, it gives you so many different tactical options, like so many different ones. So, yeah, I think it's going to be so interesting to see what kind of tactics Frank deploys.
In terms of massive games, like let's say we're playing in a cup final, I think I'd go with this. I think this looks like an unbelievable one for me.
The only problem is
every aspect of the pitch is covered.
The only problem is in these games, are you going to get outnumbered in the middle? Potentially, but they work so hard, and then if you got one of Romero or Danso jumping, then you might be all right. And you get the width with Porro and Udogie. You get Kudus and Simmons there helping out wide. That 3-4-3 looks tasty.
It really does. And, you know, if needs be as well, if we're chasing a game with this formation, you can bring on a Bergbaum in the middle to give us a bit more attacking impetus in the middle of the park.
Mm-hmm. I think there's so many options there.
The thing is, what the beauty of Frank and the beauty of our squad now with some versatile players, I think you can deploy different tactical setups, different formations, and I think it suits a lot of our players.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's great.
And to be fair, someone just mentioned in the comments, what about Sarr instead of Paulinho in this formation, instead of Bentancur?
Sarr instead of Bentancur.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could do that as well. Also, and you know he's got that running ability.
Exactly. It gives us more of a box-to-box threat from the midfield.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, I like a lot of these different ways. I also like the fact you can put Simmons in the 10. You can kind of go two up front. I like that as well. I do think, obviously, predominantly it's going to be... Obviously, when Decky comes back as well, you could play Simmons off the left, Moani up front, Decky in the 10, like that, Kudus on the right. Look at that front line. Oof. That looks unbelievable.
That is sexy, man. Kudus sexy right in the middle there.
That is incredible when he comes back.
Yeah.
That looks really, really tasty. So it just offers you so much.
So I think, I mean, the more and more I look at these different tactical setups, the more and more I'm getting excited. I bloody hate international break, man. I just want to get Tottenham playing again, see what formation Frank's going to go with away at West Ham. Again, away at West Ham, you do fully expect us still go 4-2-3-1, probably something similar to this. Obviously, no Kulusevski, but there's a big chance of Udogie coming straight back in. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, did Udogie get called up to Italy?
Don't know. Cool. We just came back from injury, so might not have done.
Yeah, maybe not. So it'd be good if he can get 2 weeks on the training ground with Frank now, and see what happens there. But look, I think you can see that, with the various different formations that we can deploy, there are a few really mouth-watering ones.
I think Simmons and Moani has opened up so many possibilities for this team.
Absolutely. So those are the kind of different ways that we can see Spurs setting up this season. So that's the tactical situations for Tottenham Hotspur. Now we move on because the Champions League squad has just been announced, and we were talking yesterday about potentially with the rule of leaving out Kinski. Well, Kinski is in the squad, people. So the squad is Vicario, Kinski, Brandon Austin, Kevin Danso, Destiny Adogi, Kuti Romero, Pedro Porro, Jed Spence, Ben Davis, Mickey van der Ven. So no Dragusin, no Kota Takai. In the midfield, we've got Palhinha, Simons, Gray, Berg, Valkudas, Johnson, Odegaard, Pape Sarr, and Bentancur. No Kulusevski, no Maddison. And up top, we've got Richarlison, Solanke, and Muani. No Matisse Tell in the squad.
No Tell in the squad.
Well.
So,
So all those debates we were having yesterday.
And he picked none of them. He picked none of them. Oh, man. I don't know about that, man. I understand it's a risk to leave out Kinski, but with that rule, I think you've got a bit of an out there. And I feel like he's left out Matisse Tell just in case. What is it just in case? In case Vicario is out for under a month or gets sent off or something. And so he can't bring in Kinski at that point. I'm gutted for him. I am gutted for him. But look, hopefully he takes it well, and hopefully he knuckles down and wants to prove a lot of people wrong. But, he's a new signing who we've put a lot of belief, well, essentially we've, want to put a lot of belief in. We signed him in the summer, a young player who's come here to play, because he's left Bayern to get more regular game time, and now he's been left out of the Champions League squad. So I hope he's look, if he's got a good head on his shoulders and he doesn't spit his dummy out the pram and he reacts to it well, it's going to be a good learning curve for him. But I don't like the message it sends to him. But I understand where Frank's coming from. He feels like he needs to put Kinski in there. I think the rule gives him an out. He clearly doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something with the rule.
We did say yesterday on the way in, do you think Spurs know this rule?
Yeah, we did say that. So, I don't know.
And yeah, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm surely a multi-billion-pound industry like Tottenham Hotspur don't leave any
I
stone
pointed out
unturned.
on Twitter yesterday, or X, so I put a tweet out, so they should have known it by then. They should have known it. If I know it. But obviously, this is on the UEFA web, so I'm assuming it's confirmed.
It is confirmed.
Did the Spurs put it out?
Have Spurs put it out? Look, why would UEFA miss out on these players?
Don't know. Oh, Spurs official yet? Have they put it out yet?
Yeah, this is the official squad, people. This is the official squad. Matisse Tell has been missed out, and I think to leave Tell out made sense in terms of if you were going to add one of the defenders, but they clearly don't think that Kota Takai is ready. They clearly don't think Dragusin's going to be here. Recover his ACL in time to make an impact. And I said only add them in if you think one of them can play or make an impact. They obviously don't think that that's the case. So, yeah, I don't know. I think you got to do it on a meritocracy level, and I think it's right that they've added Odegaard in over Matisse Tell, and we've got enough options on the wing to leave Matisse out.
Profile-wise, you've got Johnson and Moani now who play in that role similarly to what Tell probably offers there in terms of goal-scoring threat from the left-hand side. So you probably, if you're picking between Odegaard and Tell, Odegaard is the kind of profile you don't have on that side. So it makes sense to put Odegaard in. Obviously, and he's playing better as well at the moment. So I can understand that. I think it's obviously a massive blow for him. I'm gutted for him. I know he hasn't been great since he's come, but I'm gutted that it's come to this where he's ended up being left out of the squad after signing for good big money not long ago, and in the first big moment he's not made the Champions League squad. So I'm gutted for him.
We all knew hard decisions are going to have to be made, and this is just one of those hard decisions. I'm sure in an ideal world he wouldn't want to have to leave him out, But this is where the squad's at the moment. This is what poor squad planning gets you. You have to make these kind of decisions. And this is where we're at.
I mean, he could have left out Kinski.
We should never have signed Ted in the first place.
He could have left out Kinski. So I didn't understand that. I don't understand why he's included Kinski. Where if Vicario got injured for a big like last season, you can always put him back in. So it doesn't make too much sense to me. I think you just put Tell in and you take Kinski out. Or if you're going to do that, you know, because we've left ourselves short at the back anyway now with taking out Dragusin and Takai. And also, what do we do in January once Decky's in? Got a lot of decisions to make in January as well. But look, hopefully Tell just hopefully he doesn't take it too badly, and hopefully he sees it as an opportunity to work even harder. And
look, he's a professional at the end of the day. He's a professional. He'll knuckle down. And he'll try his best in the Premier League. He'll get the minutes in the cup competitions as well. And it's up to him now to make an impact and to force his way back into that squad after the group stages. It's up to him now. Everything's on him. He needs to make an impact. And he hasn't done that since coming in.
Can't disagree with that. That's the truth. So he has to take this as a learning curve. And look, he's still young, you know, he's only 20. You're going to have these setbacks in your career.
He's had a lot of setbacks. He's got a whole career ahead of him. He's so young. Like, yes, it will be a disappointment, but it's nothing that's not salvageable. Like, he shouldn't think about like now, like, oh, I'm not in the Champions League squad. My time here is done. No, this is the time that you double down. This is the time that you work even harder. You know, he needs to come back into the reckoning. So, and I'm sure he'll do that in terms of Premier League. There's still so many minutes, so many big games that he can take part in.
Yeah, there's a lot of games, and he'll get opportunities. But obviously, it's going to be a blow. I'm sure he's going to see it is a blow. There's no other way to look at it. It's obviously you signed for 30 million, and Spurs have convinced you to come here from Bayern Munich because we're saying come here, you'll play, you'll develop, blah blah blah, and we believe in you. Yes, he had a poor 6 months, right? We can all agree on that. But Tottenham took that decision to sign him, right? After those 6 months, we didn't have to sign him. Okay, so we convinced him Tottenham's the place for you, and he's been left out of the Champions League squad within a few weeks. So obviously that's a massive blow to him, and he's not going to be looking favourably on that situation. But I agree. Look, hopefully it's a blow, but hopefully he takes it as a learning curve. He's still 20. You know, you have these setbacks in your career, and you learn from them, and hopefully it fuels you. That's what I hope.
It will. It will fuel him. I think he's an ambitious player. And I think that he knows he's a young player making his name. You know, at Bayern Munich, he had a few setbacks. He had to leave Bayern Munich in search of first-team football. It hasn't happened here. But he's got to make it happen. The only person that can make it happen is Matisse Tell. And I think he's professional enough to knuckle down now and try and provide his worth for the team. And look, if he's not getting game time by the end of this season, or even by January, then there could be another conversation to have here saying, look, I'm not in the Champions League squad. I'm not getting game time in the league. I'm sure he'll get Doncaster game. But if that is the case, come January or come the end of the season, then he'll probably want to move.
From just an objective point of view, though, forgetting feelings and everything, you've just signed a player for 40 million. You've left him out of the Champions League squad. It's a horrendous look on us.
Yeah, and I think that is down to the decision makers that signed him, because I don't think it was a smart decision to sign him. I think that we were clearly looking for a left winger in the last stage of the window. Frank wasn't even here when we signed Matisse Tell. Why not wait until a manager comes in to assess all the options? I know when Frank came in, he spoke highly of Tell and said of the positions that he can play and blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't a Frank signing, was it? It wasn't a signing that had the handprints of Thomas Frank. It was a club signing. So that's what you get when you make club signings. Like when I know Jed Spence's worked out for the best in everyone's interest by now, but when he came in under Antonio Conte, he was a club signing and Conte didn't want to use him. So that's the drawbacks of making club signings.
And look, at the end of the day, it's a horrendous look on Tottenham to have signed someone this summer for a decent amount of money and not put him in the Champions League squad. That's a sad indictment on our squad planning, to be honest, because if you would have told, obviously that wasn't the plan, was it, to be in this position. We didn't sign him with 30 million, so he couldn't play in the Champions League. We've been left in this position because of how we've gone ahead and planned. And this shows to me that we're still lacking in that area when it comes to really forward thinking and squad planning and really knowing who's going to take which role in the squad and deciding these things. Clearly, we've got a lot of things wrong still there.
You think about it though, like if we did sign another left winger,
Odegaard would have been out.
yeah, mad. Like, or maybe we would have exercised that Kinski thing if we did bring in another left winger. But
I just feel like, is it not worth the risk to add Tell in for the Kinski thing? For me, I don't know. It makes sense to me, but clearly either they don't know the rule or they don't think it's worth the risk.
Yeah, but look, I don't think it's going to impact too much. Tell being there or Tell not being there. That's the reality at this stage. So we've got enough options on the left wing, and I think that if you had the choice of deploying Odegaard there, deploying Brennan there, deploying Javi Simons there, and all the different options, would Tell have got much minutes in the Champions League anyway?
He might have. I just think it makes sense. It just makes sense when you just purely look at profiles, forgetting who's the best and who's not. If you just look at the profiles in the squad, you're obviously not going to leave Brendan out. You've just signed Moani, so you're not going to leave those out. And those two could, do the job that Tell can do, really, on the left. That's the kind of player he is. He's kind of like a left forward, player who can score goals off the left-hand side. And Moani can play up front just like Tell can. So if it's a choice between having a creator or another third goal scorer, you choose the creator because we don't have a creator on the left. It just makes sense.
Well, the decision has been made. Thomas Frank has made that hard decision of leaving Matis Tell, Kota Takai, Yves Bissouma, Radu Dragshin, James Maddison, and Dejan Kulusevski out the squad. So
it's going to be interesting, I feel, come January. Yeah, it's going to be interesting if he's not getting that much game time, Tell, if we try and move him on in January again, which, again, for him, considering he moved last January from Bayern, again, it's not a great look for him. But look, I believe he's got good quality, and I believe in him. But I just think right now we don't have a great plan for him, it seems, to develop.
No. And I think it clearly states as well where Frank's head at is between Tell and Odegaard. That tells you everything you need to know. That Odegaard is well in front of Matis Tell in the pecking order. He always comes on before a Matis Tell in the games as well. And I think Odegaard has shown more than Matis, to be honest. And that's just where we're at. But again, we're not on the training pitch. We don't see what kind of value he's having in training and how good he's looking and everything like that. So all we can see is what we've seen on the pitch, and what we've seen on the pitch is a lack of quality. So that's where it's at with Matis Tell. But obviously with Yves Bissouma, that even more confirms in my mind that we're going to try and look to move him on to a Turkish or a Saudi club before the end of the window. It tells me that we're not going to be seeing Radu Dragusin anytime soon, albeit there were rumours that he was going to be back in training in 2 weeks. Frank did say 2 months in terms of being back fully fit. And Decky, we're not going to be seeing him for a long time as well. So,
and also it kind of tells me that he don't know how much he rates Kota Takai.
Yeah, that as well. So another club signing probably. So that is the Champions League squad. We've been waiting so long for it, and there it is. But I want to know your thoughts on the Champions League squad. Was it fair to leave out Matis Tell? Should he have exercised that option to leave Kinski out the squad and to use an emergency change if a goalkeeper does get injured to bring him back in? I want to know all your opinions in the comment section below. But that is the eagerly anticipated Champions League draw. A couple of super chats just before we go. I can't get them up because my computer's frozen, so maybe you can.
I'm not unlogged into the... One sec. Yeah, can you... It's one from Dark Sun G.
Yep.
I know. Once Kulu returns, he can relax because of quality now. You logged into it?
Yeah, don't worry, just read them out.
That's true, I think, because we're not relying on him like we were last season.
True.
Tommy Castillo says, Sim, you say that Tell provides the same goal-scoring threat as the other left wingers. What goal-scoring threat are you talking about exactly? Sim out. I never said that. I said he provides similar profile. I never said similar amount of goal threat. That's my point. You could say, you know, I'm just saying profile-wise, off the left, he's gonna be a goal-scoring winger. That's kind of his role. And we have Johnson there, we have Moani there, who could both do that, in my opinion, off the left. I'm not saying he's as much of a goal-scoring threat those two. I'm just saying he's a similar profile. That's my point.
Yeah, we can talk about profiles till the cows come home, but you still need to show quality, and he hasn't done that.
Matthew Sullivan said, well, what quality has Johnson shown? He scored, but he plays badly as well.
He scored 18 goals last season. What quality do you need if you're putting the ball in the back of the net?
Right, so it's about scoring.
You said it's about profile.
Yeah, I'm talking about profiles. That was what I'm talking about. He's not. We've got the profile from Tell. So if it's a straight choice between
Tell
Odegaard,
hasn't shown anything. Not even impacting games, goal scoring, nothing. At least Brendan Johnson puts the ball in the back of the net.
He scored 3 goals.
But one that just hit him and went in.
Oh, how many times has Johnson scored a tap in?
That wasn't a tap in. The ball literally just attacked him and went in the back of the net.
That's how Johnson scored in the final.
Yeah, 1 goal.
Okay,
And
look,
he scored 17 others.
he's 20 and he's only just come. Like, he scored a few goals. He scored 3 goals. Look, my only point is we've got the profile. It's not about anything. That was my only point. It's not about me saying he's as much of a goal-scoring threat as his other players. I never said that. I'm just saying profile-wise, we have his profile. So if it's a straight choice between adding another profile like that, or Odegaard, if you're not sure which one, you choose Odegaard. Matthew Sullivan says, from UEFA website, each club must include at least 2 goalkeepers on the A-list and at least 3 in total. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so we could have done Brandon Austin and Vicario in the A-list and Luca Gunter in the B-list.
Yeah, exactly. So we could have done it. Decided not to do it.
Yeah. All right. So that is that, people. That is the live stream done and dusted for you guys today. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow with some more content for you guys. But thank you, everyone. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.